Iron Mike Tyson listened to Elvis Presley's Mighty Like a Rose on repeat before a fight, and he wore a lucky pair of white trunks every time he climbed through the ropes. The greatest of all time, Muhammad Ali, carried a lucky gold medal to every fight, and he never stepped on cracks in the sidewalk. Julio Cesar Chavez always wore a red bandana into the ring, and he had a specific routine that he followed before every fight. This included eating spaghetti for breakfast. Evander Holyfield, the real deal, always wore red boxing gloves in the ring. He believed that the color brought him good luck. Vladimir Klitschko, the former heavyweight champion of the world, had a lucky pair of boxing shoes that he wore for every fight. Klitschko also had a pre-fight ritual of meditating for an hour before each bout. So what am I on about? It's common for sports stars to have any number of superstitions, but it's way less common to believe that a music superstar can jinx an entire match. And this is what Jake Paul seems to believe. He recently lost his much publicized and anticipated bout against Tommy Fury, and now he blames his less than brilliant performance on one specific Canadian rap star. The whole thing is now known as the Drake curse all over the internet.
The concept in my mind of a graceful.
But Anderson and Tyron hit really hard, so I was used to that.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Yep, Paul claimed his loss was all because of Drake. So here's how it played out. Paul and Fury stepped into the ring on the 26th of February. After months and months of trash talk, they finally strapped on the boxing gloves. The fight took place in Saudi Arabia at the Diriyah Arena. It was a long-anticipated fight that had been on the back burner for more than 2 years. The wait was all about Fury's medical issues and his visa conundrums. After 8 extremely eventful rounds, Fury emerged as the victor and the champion.
He went against me saying I was running scared. I'm not a boxer. My dad, my team believed in me, and this is for everybody tonight, you know.
Split decision. Tommy TNT.
And of course, he claimed the prize money, and he took home the WBC title, and he kept his family name. Over and above all of that, he also received a $2 million base salary, as well as 35% of the pay-per-view profits from the streams. Think Paul's wounds need more salt? Sure, why not? Paul had to pay an extra $500,000 from his own winnings to Fury, leaving the champ with a final tally of $6 million for the night's work. And I know this feels like it just keeps on, but it does. He totally wrecked Jake Paul's winning streak. So it is no wonder Paul is looking for anything he can find to blame for his downfall.
Honestly, I felt flat. I got sick really bad twice in this camp. Injured my arm. That was pretty good.
Good shit.
100 meters, 24 seconds.
What's up, boys? You training hard, huh? You had a good...
Bizarrely, he has chosen Drake, the Hotline Bling rapper. It seems Paul thinks Champagne Papi is at the very center of his shortcomings in the fight. Drake's mistake, from what we can gather, is taking to Instagram before the fight. Remember, he has 132 million followers, and he posted how much faith he places in Jake Paul's boxing abilities. In fact, he revealed that he had placed a massive $400,000 Bitcoin bet on Paul. If Paul had won, Drake's bet would have paid out $1,440,000. But this never happened, and Drake was out of pocket as a result.
I think this is a big fight between Tommy and I, and it's a massive fight as
It's possible through hard work, but he actually made us work hard non-stop. We were doing like odd.
When he spoke after the fight, Paul said his defeat was all about Drake's public bet on him. The bet, he said, put inhumane pressure on him, and he lost. This is Drake's fault. Drake, bro, why did you do this to me? He joked. He did seem to take some personal responsibility, though. He also said he knows $400,000 is nothing to Drake. The rapper has won and lost a lot more through bets on Paul before. There was a rematch clause in the fight, so maybe Drake can recoup some of the lost loot. The clause said if Fury won, Paul gets to fight him again. That means fans will likely have another dose of pre-fight antics to entertain them soon.
Bro, Molly can't afford all of the bills now. They got a baby. He's got to help. He's got to be the man around the house.
Anyone, anytime, any place. Win. Anyone, anytime, any place. Win. Anyone, anytime.
The reality of the fight is that Jake Paul finally came up against a real boxer, and he lost. Moments into the fight, Paul whacked Fury with a highlight reel right. It was the same shot that dropped Anderson Silva in October in his showdown with Paul, and it was similar to the one that knocked out Tyrone Woodley, the aging MMA standout. Remember though, Fury is a pro boxer. He hardly flinched. He simply went ahead and closed the first round out with a series of targeted jabs, a straight right, and a left hook. The bout was all about whether Paul could defeat a legitimate boxer. He had has high-profile wins against MMA fighters and a retired NBA player, but the opening moments in the opening round of the Fury fight told a different story.
It gets real cold there, and bro, we have some of the best athletes in the world, so this is what we do.
Said respect, you know, that was a good war, a good fight. He was impressed by my skill.
All Paul arrived with was a rather lopsided and largely irrelevant social media advantage. His 22.7 million Insta followers couldn't help him. Fury's jabs were sharper and his power punches had way more authority. His timing was impeccable, and all of this led to the split decision that ultimately gave Fury the fight. One judge scored 75-74 in Paul's favor, and the other two gave it to Fury 76-73. Game over. Immediately after the fight and still in the ring, Fury said,
Past 2.5 years, this is all that's consumed my life. Broke rib, denied access. Jaw tested. So when he gets hit around the temple, the jaw, wherever, body, and he's hurting and he's getting blue fascia.
Tonight, I made my own legacy. He added that he had the world on his shoulders during the fight, and he came through. Fury added to his 9-0 record, and Paul took his first real professional loss. After the fight, Paul admitted it was a humbling experience. He's now 6-1 with 4 knockouts. He smiled and said he'll take it on the chin this time. So let's recap. It was an 8-round fight. Between them, the fighters had a combined 14 pro bouts under their belt. And the price for the pay-per-view event was $49.99, and Paul and Fury headlined. And this again underlined the incredible power of Paul's ability to self-promote, and of course the growth of his boxing franchise, which is no longer something to sneeze at. His whole boxing game has been all about buzz up to now. He's had some success with a couple of part-timers, and Paul stoked the impression that he was worthy of taking on world-class practitioners. For instance, he called out Floyd Mayweather. Now you may remember that Mayweather, the retired welterweight, pummeled Paul's brother Logan in 2021 during an exhibition match. Jake has also bragged that he would take out Saul Alvarez, the super middleweight champ, by 2024. 3 years went by after Paul's first pro bout. He's headlined pay-per-view events with a modicum of success, but he hadn't come up against a full-time boxer yet. And this is where Tyson Fury entered the fray. He's young, he's chiseled, and he's social media savvy. Above all, he was keen to take on Paul. They had something scheduled twice before, but both times plans had come to naught. When the two finally entered the ring this time, it was with the kind of pageantry and hype you'd expect at a Super Bowl. While Paul connected with the occasional left hook and lead right, he never got comfortable with the steady left jab Fury kept on firing. And then there were the uppercuts, and the fact that they just kept on coming. That said, the only knockdown in the bout went to Paul. In the 8th round, a jab threw an off-balance Fury onto the canvas, but in the end, the stats tell the story. Fury connected with 88 out of 302 punches. Paul made only 49 of his 157 punches, and that, folks, is the story. Now we can wait to see if there will be a sequel and if it will match the original. Catch you in the next video.
Thinking about going home. You know, just because he's pulled out of the fight so many times.
You know, in the build to this, I said that I'd win the fight, and I did last night quite convincingly. And obviously, it was a split decision. But
Crack under pressure. You're not built for this moment. You're not built for this moment. You're an imposter.